Every level of lust explained. Level 1. The innocent glance. It begins with a moment of prolonged attention. You notice someone or something attractive and do not immediately look away. The encounter is brief, passive, and involves no interaction. Nothing outward changes, but a mental image is formed and stored. The significance lies in duration. Attention rested where it could have moved on, establishing the starting point of the progression. At this level, nothing else needs to occur for the pattern to exist. No searching, fantasizing, or interaction is required. The defining feature is simply this: attention rests where it could have moved on. This is the entry point, also known as the beginning of a progression. A single extended look that just opened a door and established the first link between seeing and internal response. The Prophet said to Ali ibn Abi Talib, "Do not follow one glance with another. The first is for you, but the second is against you." Level 2. The seeking phase. Exposure becomes intentional. Instead of encountering attraction by chance, you go to places where it is likely to appear. Specific accounts, platforms, or situations. Scanning replaces noticing. Time spent increases, and the activity becomes part of routine. The defining feature is deliberate pursuit rather than accidental discovery. Because the process is repeatable and private, it can integrate into daily routines. Checking during breaks, before sleep, upon waking, or during commutes. The behavior no longer requires a unique circumstance. It fits into ordinary time slots. At this level, it is no longer stumbling across attractive content, but actively hunting for it, knowing exactly where to go and how to access it. Level 3. The fantasy stage. The process moves inward. External input is no longer required because the mind generates scenarios using stored images and imagination. You replay, modify, or extend encounters in thought, sometimes for long periods. These internal simulations can occur anywhere and feel vivid despite having no real interaction behind them. The defining feature of this level is autonomy. The experience can be generated on demand or triggered spontaneously, independent of current surroundings. This stage is characterized by creating entire movies in the mind and developing imagined interactions with people who may not even know you exist. Level 4. The obsession phase. Attention concentrates on one specific person. Thoughts, monitoring, and communication revolve around them. Interaction becomes frequent, emotionally charged, and time-consuming. Attention is no longer distributed across many stimuli. Sleep, productivity, and mood can be influenced by the state of the connection. Positive interactions may produce restlessness or excitement. Negative or uncertain interactions may lead to rumination or distraction. The defining characteristic of this level is fixation. This stage is described as tunnel vision, where one person becomes difficult to stop thinking about it and interaction replaces passive observation. Allah says in Surah Al-Isra verse 36, "Indeed, the hearing, the sight, and the heart, all of those will be questioned." Level 5. The relationship trap. The connection stabilizes into an ongoing private relationship. Regular contact, secrecy, shared time, and emotional dependence develop. The involvement becomes integrated into daily life, often hidden from others, creating a split between public identity and private behavior. Ending the relationship at this level becomes difficult because disentangling involves loss across multiple domains: time, emotional support, routine, and identity. The connection is not just about attraction anymore. It has become an integrated part of daily functioning. This stage is characterized as a full relationship maintained in secrecy, involving sustained interaction and progressive boundary crossing that builds a double life between public identity and private involvement. Level 6. The addiction level. Focus shifts from a person to compulsive consumption of explicit material. Frequency escalates, sessions lengthen, and attempts to stop often fail. The behavior becomes repetitive and difficult to control, occurring despite negative effects on time, energy, or responsibilities. The defining characteristic of this level is loss of voluntary control over frequency and duration. The behavior continues despite intentions to reduce or stop, indicating that it has become a dominant pattern rather than a discretionary activity. This stage is described as one where pornography consumption rewires habits through repeated exposure, producing a cycle that persists even after repeated attempts to quit. Level 7. The complete slave. The pattern manifests in real-world behavior. Physical actions, planning, secrecy, and identity all revolve around sexual pursuit. What began as a moment of attention becomes a dominant organizing force in life, with earlier boundaries largely absent. Connection to previous values or practices may weaken if they conflict with ongoing behavior. Activities or communities that highlight the discrepancy may be avoided to reduce discomfort or scrutiny. The defining characteristic of this level is total integration. The drive is no longer an occasional force acting on life. It has become one of the organizing principles of life itself. This stage is described as complete domination by lust, where physical transgression becomes routine and earlier boundaries have collapsed entirely. Allah says in Surah An-Nasiyat, verse 40 and 41, "But as for he who feared the position of his Lord and prevented the soul from unlawful inclination, then indeed, paradise will be his refuge." If this breakdown made you reflect on hidden dangers in everyday life, the next video exposes something even closer to home. Watch Every Forbidden Household Item in Islam, Explained.